I'll call this regular council meeting in the Village of Grand Manan to order. It is 7:30 p.m. and with us for prayer tonight is Pastor Adam DeMerchant. Thank you.
Very noble thing, and we want to show our appreciation for each one of them. So it's easy to think that it's an easy job. Sometimes it's not. And so first, God, I want to say thank you, and I want to ask that you would give each one of us just a certain perspective to be always oriented for the good of our neighbor and all the decisions that we make and our own perspectives. We bring them all to the table, but ultimately at the end of all this, we want to show our love for each other in the decisions we make. And God, last, I'd ask for some wisdom. I think often we think decisions are between a good choice and a bad choice, and I don't find that life's often like that. Sometimes it's a good choice and a good choice, or a great choice and a great choice. It takes a lot of wisdom. Would you give that to each one of our leaders today? In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I'm going to keep my opening remarks brief given the length of our agenda tonight. I wanted to flag the fact that Friday is Remembrance Day. There will be a service at the Cenotaph at the Fire Hall, I believe at 10:30 that morning, so just a reminder for everybody. And I do want to wish everybody a safe and prosperous lobster season. Hopefully that will open at some point this week, weather permitting, and I think everybody knows how much our community depends on that economic driver, so hopefully it'll be a good season. So with that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is disclosure of conflict of interest. Hearing none, we have adoption of the minutes. We have the regular council meeting of September 12th, a special meeting of October 5th, and a special meeting of October 25th. And I'm looking for a motion for approval.
I will make a motion to approve those three meetings.
You heard the motion from Councillor Toll. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. So the next one is additions to the agenda, but I think it's more like flexibility to the agenda. I understand we're removing item 14.10, the budget update, so we'll do that at a later date. The economic development report at 15.3, I believe we're also going to defer till the next meeting. And I would like to move up the reading of the bylaws, 16.1. I'd like to move it up to the next agenda item just because we just left our public hearing. And I think it's appropriate if we do that immediately following this conversation. So with all that, is there anything to actually add to the agenda? Could I have a motion to make those changes, please?
Make a motion to make those changes.
Heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. So with that, we're moving to, we'll call it 6.5, which is the bylaw reading. It's bylaw number 56-22, the bylaw to amend bylaw 39-04, the rural plan bylaw.
Whereas the Village of Grand Manan is desirous of enacting a new rural plan bylaw, and whereas Section 15.3 of the Community Planning Act permits waiving the bylaw being read in its entirety as long as notice as described in Section 70 of the Community Planning Act has been fulfilled, and whereas Section 71C has been completed, I therefore move that we proceed with first and second reading by summary and title only of bylaw 56-22, the rural plan bylaw.
You heard that motion by Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. I'm a little disappointed we're not asking Councillor Greenlaw to read the 50-page document, but that's okay.
I really wanted to.
I know. So I will say we had, well, no attendance at our public hearing that we had just before this meeting, but this the first and second reading doesn't close the discussion on the rural plan. If there is comments, there is still an opportunity to do so going forward, and we would encourage anyone who does have comments to reach out to us. In the meantime, I'm going to turn this over to Councillor Greenlaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So for the first reading of bylaw number 56-22, bylaw to amend bylaw 39-04, the rural plan bylaw, with these additional changes, PID number 012-81997, current zone rural, has a requested zone to be mixed. PID number 150-34671, current zone is mixed. It's requested to be changed to rural. 150-34689 is current zoned mixed, requested to be rural. PID number 1286673, current zone is industrial, it's requested to be mixed. PID number 1281393, current zone is rural, it's requested to be mixed. PID number 1278688, current zone industrial, has been requested to be mixed. And there is a motion to remove section 4.5 and create a schedule of fees. And the second reading of bylaw number 56-22, bylaw to amend bylaw 39-04, the rural plan bylaw. Do you want the changes read again?
I think we only did the first one, but I think we need a motion after the first reading, so.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So we'll have a motion to accept the first reading of the bylaw 56-22. Take motion from Councillor Turner, do we have a second? I'll second. Second by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. And second reading, title only.
Title only. Bylaw number 56-22, bylaw to amend bylaw 39-04, the rural plan bylaw.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Motion by Councillor Toll.
Second.
Second by Councillor Simmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Jennifer, from Dillon, who is here with us and just gave applause. I think she's almost happy to be rid of us, but we're trying to take it too personally. There is an incredible amount of work that went into the document, and we do appreciate
Yes.
your help getting us through this and your patience with all of our suggestions over the past year. So seeing no RCMP, I think we're safe to move right on to the 10-minute open session. We see that no one's going to jump up. So we'll move on to item number 11.1, Brookside Golf Course. Time to speak.
Alyssa wanted me to haul out Yo Bonnie, and I wouldn't do it. So
It would fit in well.
I know, Madam Mayor, councillors, I appreciate this opportunity to come before you to speak on behalf of the Grand Manan Golf Course, formerly known as the Brookside Golf Course. As you guys know, in the spring, the existing membership ownership of the golf course had made the decision not to operate the golf course anymore. It had just come to its time where it was too much time and effort for them. So they were going to just close it and turn it into a cow farm or something. But anyway, they reached out to a membership group of us, we'll call a co-op, where we met with them, and they gave us the opportunity to lease their golf course and operate it on a one-year term to see how that would go, and then moving forward perhaps a longer term from that. So the co-op was formed of Dwayne Green, Pat Cronk, and myself, and the three of us, with the help of CAO Rayner and of course council, we formed the co-op and we operated the golf course as kind of a fly by the seat of our pants thing. Not too many people have experience in operating a golf course, but we managed to make it work, and outside of, I mean, there were had bumps in the roads, lawnmower caught fire, stuff like that, but it was a pretty successful season. I think if you speak to anyone who golfed there this year and has golfed there in years past, they would all say the golf course is probably in the best shape that it's ever been in. There's a lot of excitement around it, and it's a good thing. I mean, in a time that it seems that Grand Manan's losing some essential services and institutions, it's one more thing that we didn't need to lose. So I'm thankful that council came alongside and helped us with the administration and the insurance and under their umbrella, and it made it work. We had a fantastic staff there working. Shannon and Tawny did a fantastic job, put in a lot of time. I think they actually enjoyed it. They were down there all hours, did a lot of clearing, a lot of maintenance that needed to be done over the years, and just the resources weren't there, and they did it, and it's really, really an asset to the island for sure. So I've got some numbers here I'm going to give you just real quickly because I don't want to bore you, but we operated the golf course for 22 weeks. We had 6 junior members. So the junior members were under the age of 16 and under, sorry. And it was really exciting to get down there. I golfed there a couple of weeks ago and looked across the course, and there were 4 teenage boys under the age of 16, no parents or anything, just the 4 of them there spending the day golfing. And I haven't known that to take place since the days of Cody Harvey and Corey Frost. I mean, they were avid golfers back in the day when curling and golf and everything were in the school program, so it kind of encouraged them to do that. They took this upon themselves, they loved the game, and they wanted to play. So to see 6, they had a junior championship down there that Dwayne had for them, where they had their own club championship, and that worked out. So that was really exciting for us to see kids, because any sport, any membership that's going to thrive needs youth, right? And this is where this is hopefully going. We had close to 50 regular members, which was $24,000 of intake from the membership. Just walk-on green fees, we had over $6,000. Donations, we had over $16,000 in donations that we went to different businesses to try to help us cover the lease and cover the operations going into a first year, which we didn't know. Separate from that, there was a $5,000 donation that covered the $5,000 mower that we had to replace that had a bonfire in the corner. So the lease was $11,500. Fuel was $5,500, which you can appreciate under the day we're in now, and a lot of it just miscellaneous things. So come right down to the numbers. Our total income, including donations, was $46,700, and the cost to operate was $39,500. So we presently had a surplus of about $8,000. But you have to understand, out of that $8,000, $16,000 of it was donations, which we really don't want to continue to go back to the businesses, which are the same businesses asked by the same people all the time looking for money, okay? And the businesses on Grand Manan are great. They always hand out money when needed. That's just the spirit of where we are. But I'm hoping, and I'm not looking for any answers from council tonight, because I would like you to have the opportunity to discuss this maybe at your end of your budget meetings or whatever. We're asking that the council would consider covering our lease for the operation of the golf course. We would like to continue to, do what we have to with memberships and everything to operate it, but it's not a money-making venture. And that lease is kind of the difference between us making it work and falling behind and having to ask the citizens of Grand Manan to come forth and donate. Our memberships, we did increase the cost of our memberships this year to try to offset it, because it's, that's the reality we're in. And I know one of the initial instincts would be, well, this is a rec item, we'll send it to the rec committee. And I'm going to ask you not to do that, because I don't want to rob from existing rec programs now to try to come and help the golf course. For the most part, it is an adult membership, but we're hoping, like I say, with what we saw this year and years moving forward, we can start some youth programs and get, because that's how I justify coming to council more than anything, is for the youth, just like everything else, whether it's the arena, the ballparks, that's the driving force in anything on Grand Manan as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just here to ask you on behalf of the golf course if you would consider in your end of year budget to entertain putting that as a line item in your budget. So that's what I'm here for. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them from you.
Thanks. Michael, any questions?
How much was that lease again?
10,000 plus HST, which is 11,500, because it's, our co-op paid the lease to Brookside Golf Course, which is a corporation, and they had to have the HST and everything, so that's what so it's actually 10,000 plus HST, which you kind of get back, maybe, if you want to look at it that way, so.
Have you had any discussions as whether that number would continue in the same rate?
Yeah, I didn't mention that either, that we have, in looking to go to a longer-term contract, we haven't got anything in writing right now, but we want to get this kind of, that will be something that takes place over the winter through CAO Rain and ourselves, of getting that in paper form moving forward. The contract is there based on a one-year thing. It's just a matter now of changing the dates and some other things, if I understand properly, to make that. We have a verbal agreement on a 5-year lease, the terms to be the same. No, it hasn't been stated that it was going to be any different. If it was going to be different, I'm not going to ask for that. I'm just asking for this based on what we have now. If it happens to go up, then that's something that we as a co-op will have to deal with. So that's what we're asking for over the next 5 years.
Anyone else? Well, hearing nothing, I will say it's good timing. We're obviously in the middle of our budget cycle, so we'll.
Been here,
put-
done that. I kind of wondered that.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, so. Thank you very much, and it was good to see the golf course up and running this summer, and very glad it worked out.
Yeah,
so
it did. It
it's
worked out
good.
very well. Thanks for having me.
Good, great,
Thanks.
thanks. All right, so moving along to new business. 14.1 is committees, an update, and this is for me. With the resignation of Councillor Russell, it left a couple of openings on some committees, so I just wanted to give a quick update on kind of where I see this going. I thought perhaps once we get through the whole by-election and all that, it would be worthwhile doing a complete review of the committees, but in the meantime, I think in the interim, we need to fill in a couple of holes. Finance, I have asked Councillor Boyd to sit down on that committee as well. I believe Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons is going to sit in on solid waste for us, and I'm going to suggest we leave the recreation where it is because we have a number of non-council members who are there, and I think we've got a pretty diverse group there to start with, and we can see where that goes. Any questions on that so far? And the other thing I did want to flag is Councillor Green, I believe, sat on the golf course committee last year, and he would like us to look for a replacement for next year if that's something we choose to continue. So maybe we can defer that with our budget discussion and see where we end up with that, and then go from there. Any questions? Okay. 14.2 is application for donation from the Community Market Committee, CAO Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In your package, you'll see that the community market did make an application. They're in the process of doing a bit of a fundraiser with Christmas wreaths. They've got a bit of a contest where they've asked for different community members, you know, young and old, to decorate different wreaths. They're going to be able to have some prizes for the different age groups with different amounts. If you want, I'm not going to read this word for word. We're on a bit of a time crunch, but at the end of the day, they need about $890. They've fundraised $700 to date, and the request from the village is $190.
Questions or comments? I'm assuming there's still money in the donation line in the budget.
I would move that we grant their application for donations $190.
You heard the motion from Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. 14.3 is Swallowtail Letter of Support. We had a meeting with the Swallowtail Fundraising Committee for the repairs to the outside of the lighthouse and the lightkeeper's house. They are working on funding applications, and one of the things that they have requested is that the village write a letter of support for the project. At this point, nothing financial. They're just looking for a letter from us. So would someone like to make a motion to that effect? You heard the motion from Councillor Greenlaw. Do we have a second? Seconded by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. 14.4 is public safety. Councillor Brown.
On October 27th, the Safety Committee had a meeting where we discussed what would happen if Cyclone Fiona had hit us and what measures we need to take to help those in need if and when such a disaster should occur. We had a great discussion about a facility to house as many people as possible if a disaster happened. We're excited with the ideas and the possibility of help, the help we could get for our small community. Chris has some of the details that he will share with you now.
So the EMO has been something that's been on the radar, I think, since I took over interim, more than a year ago. Sherry Leslie at the fire department spent a lot of time doing that EMO. And currently, right now, in that plan, we have the fire department as our warming center, mainly because they have a backup generator, so they have a way to keep water going, power on, keep warm, chance to cook, recharge cell phones, stuff like that. It's fortunately we haven't been able to use it, but let's face it, the hurricane that just went through was a bit of an eye-opener. It wouldn't have taken much of a track change that would have made it more of a direct hit here locally. The fire department isn't sized adequately for the amount of people that could potentially be impacted. So at the end of the day, we're talking about moving our EMO warming center to the community center. But one of the conditions before you can do that is you got to have backup generation. I'm in the process of reaching out to get quotes on generators. The electrician was in. They're having a bit of a struggle to try to come up with what our peak demand would be in order to source that or size that generator. But once we have those, once we get the price in place, we had a conversation, or Councillor Boyd had that conversation with our MLA. She indicated that there would be financial help to purchase that. It could be a 60-40, 50-50 split, or maybe more in our favor. We'll have more details on that once we get an actual price on the generator to be able to move forward. But I think for this argument, what Councillor Boyd was looking for is not so much a motion, but to kind of keep in the back of your mind that we will be looking to move the warming center in our current EMO from the fire hall to the community center once we get that backup generation hopefully in place.
Any questions? Comments? Councillor Toll?
I think it's a good idea, but I didn't even know there was a warming center, to be honest. So I had no idea where to go. So maybe that's something too we should think of if we're going to do this. We need to make sure that there's something out there that people can find it.
The EMO plan's been in a revolving document, and once we get, like I said, once we get things in place, we'll be able to update that. But it's more than just a warming center. I mean, let's face it, in case of an emergency, the fire department would need to focus their efforts on what they do, saving lives. They don't need a bunch of civilians running around there trying to get warm and kind of be in the way. So, and part of the EMO is we have to have a command center, where in that command center you have all the heads from fire, police, ambulance, EMO, all stationed here, all coordinating their efforts from one location, so everyone's kind of on the same page. So you don't have the police running out of the police station, the fire from the fire department, ambulance up for the ambulance bay. Everyone's in here together, so it makes more sense logistically. So.
All right, thank you. Moving on to 14.5, UMNB, letter of support. This is also a Councillor Boyd item. There should be a template letter in your package that basically talks about some of the challenges around municipal reform, particularly on the communication level, about who is looking at an election, who is not. I understand there were mailouts in people's mailboxes that we were going to be voting, but we're not. And just trying to take some of that burden off the local municipal level and asking the province to really take more of a proactive role in explaining what's going on with the reform and what the impacts are going to be, because it's not well understood, I don't think, out in the general public necessarily. So there's a template letter there that UMNB has circulated to its membership. And so he's wondering if that is something that we would be willing to send on behalf of the Village of Grand Manan. Questions or comments?
We need to get more information, know what's going on, for sure.
Would that be a motion?
That would be a motion to let's sign this and get that sent out where it needs to go.
Yep. You heard the motion from Councillor Toll. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. 14.6, Grand Manan Island Tourism, letter of support, CAO Rayner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, in your package, there is a package from Grand Manan Island Tourism. There's a letter dated October 3rd, 2022. It says, Dear Mayor, CAO, and Village of Grand Manan, Grand Manan Island Tourism was formed in 2021. During a marketing action focus group, there were 5 individuals out of the 20-plus in attendance who showed interest in pursuing the official organization focused solely on our island's tourism sector. Since the conception of our group, we have created a study, set out bylaws, and executive board member positions. We meet in person via video call on a weekly basis. We've been involved in some really great brainstorming sessions. Out of these, we've been able to accomplish a multitude of tasks and initiatives. One of the initiatives that they are excited to share is that they're collaborating with Davin St. Pierre of DSP Creative Solutions. Davin is a grant researcher and creative writer hailing from the Moncton area. He has work experience with writing grants for the BC government and many similar entities. GMIT has been collaborating with Davin, Josh McLeod, and Mac Bork of the Property Tour since the early spring of 2022. Their intent is to create an interactive map and web page to showcase ecologically sensitive areas, hiking trails, and the interesting biodiversity of our island has to offer. Davin is applying his knowledge of grant research and has found one through the New Brunswick Nature Trust that will fall directly in line with the funding needed to create an interactive technological interface. We are very excited about the partnership and look forward to working on this project. Please find attached an outline of the proposed project for the review, which I won't read. GMIT is requesting letters of support to be included in their grant application, and we are asking the village, specifically the mayor and CAO, to give their blessing as shown of an in-kind support. As a group, we thank you for your consideration, support throughout the year, and look forward to working with the Village of Grand Manan on future endeavors. Kindest regards, Jennifer O'Neill, co-president, Kim Schufelt, co-president.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
We currently still have more than one tourism association, or is this the one now?
This is the only recognized one as far as the Tourism Association is concerned of New Brunswick.
Anyone else? Do we want to send a letter of support for this project? You heard the motion from Councillor Layton. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. So 14.7 is an update on the medevac service. This came up, I think, originally at a transportation committee meeting out at the airport, and it was included, I just looked back in the minutes, in the September meeting in Councillor Layton's report. Basically, with a change in Transport Canada regulations, there is an impact on the local company who is providing medevac services, and it has resulted in a negotiation with the province on how that's going to look going forward. Those negotiations have basically stalled, is my understanding, if not broken off. We had written to Premier Higgs subsequent to the September meeting. We had been passed to Health Minister Fitch, who passed us to A and B. And we've redirected ourselves back to Minister Fitch. But basically, at this point, I am concerned about what the impact on the community is going to be come December if we no longer have the local coverage for medevac and it is being piecemealed essentially from off-island services. I think we all remember a few years ago when that had a tragic outcome, and I think the impact for the community it could be significant. I'm not really sure that there's something specific I'm looking for at this point, but I did just want to give an update that the Transport Canada regulations come into effect December 12th, and at that point, there could be significant changes in how our medevac service looks on the island. So, given where we are and how things are going, I thought it was the responsible thing to come back and say we're still working on it, we're still trying for a meeting, but so far things aren't going well. Any questions or comments? Councillor Green?
Transport Canada, I assume our MP is involved somehow in this now?
I believe we may have spoken to him about it when he was here, and certainly our MLA has raised it, and she is looking for additional federal contacts to be working with on the issue as well. I think it's certainly one of my concerns, and I think that's how we talked about it when our MP was here, was about the isolation of Grand Manan and the need to maybe designate us as remote or have some sort of special designation, because we are different than other communities in the province, given that you can't access us by land and where we are. So anyway, that's that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I will just say I'm assuming we're all okay continuing on the road we are. It's just, okay. 14.8, speed signs, quotes and services. Councillor Layton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow councillors. As everyone is aware, the radar speed signs in our school zone have been taken down due to ongoing maintenance issues. I guess there's a real problem with the program, the
Software?
pardon me?
Software?
The software, that's what I was looking for. Public safety is an important role of council, and even more important when the safety of our children may be at risk. Going through this something on another file, our average traffic we have here is around 3,400 hits a day, so that puts a lot of traffic in front of the school zone each day. It's a staggering number, really. Where are we here? Sorry. Our clerk, Esme, helped me out on this file. She reached out to 3 different companies and received quotes back from 2 of them. The cheapest quote that we got was from Absolute Traffic Signs and Solution. They're out of Moncton. They're local. Sorry. They service over, they have 800 units in the Maritimes. They service over 90% of New Brunswick. So I think that's the best company to go for. They're local. They can get on the phone. You can talk to them. They're in Moncton if they need service problems. So there was 2 options. There was option A, which was come in at $3,887 for a new 11-inch Evolution 11-inch. It's called. It's 11 inches high. It's 2 digits. It has a solar battery pack, a backup, and it has 2 colors, yellow and white strobe. Basically the same as what we had. The option B for $3,950 was a 12-inch, 3-digit solar with battery pack up. 3 digits for higher speed zones. If we ever wanted to use it in another situation, we could throughout the summer, like for whatever reason may be. But there's 3 colors. You have yellow, you have red, and your white strobe. So the perimeters can be set, so, I mean, if you've got somebody coming really fast, it'll flash red, or if they're not coming at a moderate speed, it might be yellow. It's whatever the perimeters of the staff of the village sets up. So it does have cloud-based software available for the first 3 years, and after that, it's $425 a year. But we can go with the standard system, which is just a wireless within 1,000 feet to upload and download, and that's no charge. So you can just go down to Grand Arbor and get on your phone and plug in your perimeters, and off you go. There's all kinds of data that can be collected, traffic numbers, speed, average speeds, a lot of different information. There's a whole package there that we could use, and I'm looking for council support in replacing the signs that we already had there with option B. Did I say everything I needed to say?
I think so. Are there any questions for Councillor Layton? That's great.
Is that 3150 each or 3150 for
It
two?
was $38.87 each, plus tax. So it's-
Oh, that was option A, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, option B, option A, 38.87, option B, 39.53.
Oh, 39, okay.
And it's a significant improvement for $150. And I don't know where Alyssa can find the money in the budget, but I mean, if we take it out of our reserves or whatever, I think it's an important project that needs to be rectified and put back in place. I'm not asking you, but I'm just.
Maybe if you have a surplus of your bill.
Any other questions or comments?
Seem to be commenting tonight a lot. I mean, it's gonna take more than those to get people to slow down. You can have the fanciest sign out there you want, but they're still doing 60 or 70 until, like, even myself, when I come into it, I'm like, oh, shoot, and then I hit the brakes and slow down. But, I mean, I think it's great, and we do need signage there. I think we need to make it more explanatory too, that it's not Sunday morning at 10 o'clock that you have to go 30 kilometers an hour.
That can all be.
Like, it's.
That's why the signs came down. They went all, they're not supposed to.
Yeah. So I think it should be the ones that you use from here, from the office. I don't think you should have to go out to the site and change them over if the weather's not good or
Can they be programmed?
one set.
It's
that
off your
can be
phone. It's just an
programmed
app
from
off
the
your
office.
phone.
So it can be programmed for the week or just programmed for school hours? like
Whatever you want it to, it's got different formats,
I
how you
think-
program it.
I think having the lights there does.
It works, it
Yeah,
works.
It slows me down.
It slows me down.
I think the sign underneath could be bigger, because, I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot read that as you drive, like, even if you are doing 30 kilometers an hour.
Yeah,
You know, where it says from this hour till this
That's
hour,
true.
school days only, it's hard to read. I mean, most of us know it, but there are a lot of people visiting or here for business that, you know, they just go by whether it's flashing or not.
Anybody else?
I like the fact that it flashes at you if you're going too fast.
Yeah.
So that definitely would attract your attention.
How do you know
And
that?
three colors.
Well, I think the police had a field day the first of the school year without those signs there. They made a killing, and they fined a lot of people, and specifically because those signs weren't there, and people don't see them. I don't see signs. I mean, it's a familiar
No, I
road.
walk
It's a
into
familiar
the
road.
woods, don't
Nobody
see
sees the
the
signs.
So, Councillor Layton, are you going to make a motion to proceed with option B if there is a surplus in funds in the budget?
I will make that motion if I'm so mixed up here.
I will add, while Councillor Layton's digging for his stuff, that typically what Esme will do is she'll be in touch with the school and she'll program the entire school year into that. So all the holidays, all the weekends, everything's in there for the entire year. The issue with the old one was it was a US-based company. The software was bad. We couldn't get the app to read, to change the schedule, and that's why it was blinking all the time. But hopefully with the local company, we'll have a lot better service.
So I'd like to make a motion that we accept Absolute Traffic and Sign Solutions quote of $39.5340 each for 2 new Evolution 12-inch radar signs.
You heard the motion from Counselor Layton. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Turner. Question? Counselor Green?
Yeah. Do you see that could be programmed if you're within 1,000 feet?
Yes.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have the school do that? They know what their schedule is for, paid days off, PD days and things like that.
I don't know who's going to volunteer down at school to take care of that for us, but maybe there is. But our staff has been done a great job, I think.
They give us,
Yeah.
they give us all the, all holidays, every day that they'll be closed. We'll bring it all at once. It's not too bad as long as it works. And I think people need to realize that it's 19 seconds more is what it takes to go through at 30 kilometers an hour. It's simple math. It's 400 meters at 50 or 30.
what actions the minister will take to address our many issues. He left with a long list, and I'm comfortable and confident our concerns were well presented and understood by the minister, and I look forward to we already have a stronger relationship with DTA already just from that meeting, and I look forward to possibilities are endless, I guess, coming down the pipe, but we've got the guy, he was on site and he's seen our conditions and he's more than willing to work with us. So it's a big day, I think, for the Village of Grand Manan moving forward. Thank you. Is there anything else I should add?
I don't think so on that one, but thank you, Councillor Layton. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to 15.2, which is the Library Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You all have the manager's report, your agendas, and I'll just hit the highlights here. If I could, just because school is closed, doesn't mean there's not much going on at the library. The library is very busy during the summer. They hire 3 students to help out there. They had Jillian Jones, Grace Cruikshank, and Kylie Cook there for summer reading club activities. And they also, for the first time, they partnered with Elementary Literacy New Brunswick to offer pre-ELF, ELF, and Barton training, tutoring. That's a reading tutoring programs. There's lots of arts and crafts going on. There's games going on. There's a STEAM program happening. And even some baby massages going on in there, which is quite something. But it's very busy in there. The story walk posted on the Anchorage boardwalk happened, and they hope to have 2 of them going next summer. So there was some fundraising going on. There was used book sale, raised $606, and the summer reading Nook Craft raised $1,030. So it was a very busy time, and anyway, that is the report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Any questions? All right. So moving on to item number 17. 17.1 is approval to pay the following invoices from the General Operating Fund. Universal Truck and Trailer, the walking floor trailer for $31,771.54. You heard the motion from Councillor Toll. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question?
Is this the one that's not working now?
That's the one that was not working. We hope after spending $31,000 that it works.
Oh, okay, this is the this is the repair bill.
This
for
is
it.
the repaired one, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, this is the 2020
right.
that
yes.
has the different style floor in it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. 17.2 is approval to pay invoices from the General Capital Fund. Brunswick Engineering for the airport rehab, $14,464.13. And Northern Construction, it's a progress payment of $365,340.63.
Make a motion to pay these out of the general capital fund.
You heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Green. Question? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. 18.1 is looking for a motion to transfer funds from our line of credit to our general capital fund to cover bills for the airport project.
I'll make that motion.
You heard the motion from Councillor Greenlaw. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Layton. Question?
Is that totally talking the one we just, the 365 number? Is that what we're talking
And the
about?
Brunswick engineering bill.
How can we read this?
The two that they just read out of the general capital fund, we'll have to transfer from our line of credit to cover those two bills.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. 19 is closed session. We have 4 items: snow removal tender, personnel, CAO, recreation programmer, and building inspector. Heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Toll. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
They're hoping that too.
Yeah, no, I think they're great. I think they're great. The story running
recall this regular council meeting of the Village of Grand Manan to order. We were in closed session to talk about 4 items. The first was financial, the snow removal tenders. And we had 2 sets of tenders. One was for our main annual snow removal at the fire hall, business center, community center, water storage tanks, and and Thrifties. Somebody like to make a motion about that tender?
I would move that we accept the low tender from Dutchman Contracting for those locations.
You heard the motion from Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
I will second that.
Seconded by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. We also had a snow removal tender for the airport, and that is generally issued as a 5-year tender, and that was the pricing that we received. I think there was discussion about potentially looking at negotiating the duration of that tender based on potential changes to our own personnel here at the village. So would someone like to make a motion to that effect?
I would make a motion that we accept that with the conditions that we request. I've already forgotten what she said.
That we negotiate the airport tender?
Negotiate the years,
Term.
the term, I'm sorry.
You heard the motion from Councillor Toll. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Second was personnel CAO.
I'd make a motion that we accept the CAO's recommendation to make the rec
Oh.
coordinator.
You're on the wrong one.
Oh, that's, okay.
Hold that
I
thought.
tried, Chris.
Sorry.
I jumped the gun.
Okay. Okay, moving up to 19.2.
I would make a motion that council accept the recommendation of the Personnel Committee regarding the CAO.
You heard the motion by Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Second by Councillor Brown. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. 19.3 Personnel Recreation Programmer. You're up, Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons.
There we go. I'd make a motion that we accept the CAO recommendation to make this a full-time job for the recreation programmer.
Heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. 19.4 is Personnel Building Inspector. Our current building inspector is going to be done at the end of December, so we are looking for a replacement. And I think we are going to ask staff to put together a job description for that position and to put together a request for proposals.
I'd make a motion that we do that.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Toll. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. That's the last time we try to do closed session before the meeting, because it's way too long to remember. So our next regular council meeting will be here on December 5th at 7:30 PM.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, everybody.